Well, guys, after much anticipation, can 24 still go on without the star that held the show together? Hey guys, come over the series premiere of 24 Legacy. This is Season 1, Episode 1, 12 o'clock p.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. And guys, I really did not know how this was going to be. As you guys know, I have seen 24 Live Another Day. Have I seen the original 24? No, I'm not going to lie. I did not watch the original 24, but I did watch 24 Live Another Day, which I definitely really did enjoy. And I remember that shortly after that ended, they said, we're going to try to continue, just not without Jack Bauer. And I was baffled at that statement. I had no idea really what they were thinking. I thought it was such a dumb idea. I mean, why would you continue 24 without the glue that held it together? Jack Bauer was the thing that made that show so great. Kiefer Sutherland was so great in that role. That's why that show was good. It was not because of the concept. The story, was all over the place and things like that, and I really didn't know how this was going to be, so I went into this with a very open mind, I have to say, and overall, while I do think that overall this was pretty much more of the same, I am definitely interested. I really did enjoy this first episode overall. It's a lot better than what I thought it was going to be. I thought they actually did a good job of introducing us to the characters. It is still fairly generic, but it definitely is way better than I think that it could have ended up being. But let's just get in this episode because I definitely do want to talk about it. And we start off right off the bat, and I loved seeing the clock. I thought that was really cool to see the clock and everything. But it just kind of fell out of place in the show just because it's not Kiefer Sutherland. It's just going to, I get that that's 24, but it just felt weird to see that. But basically, we see a group of men, basically. We're introduced as a group of men are ravaging through her house. The owner, bloodied and tied up, unable to find what they're looking for. They kill him for Shika bin Khalid, so you immediately know that they're Muslim and terrorists and things like that. And the shooter declares, and on the way out, one of them calls out his brother to share that they couldn't find the item. And looking at a picture of American soldiers, they cross out another, only 2 left, and that essentially sets up our main character, where we see he's coming home from work, and we then get introduced to our main character, Eric Carter, who has left his military career behind recently and basically is trying to, have basically a quiet life with his wife Nicole, and they've been given new identities, and they have this short dispute over whether they're ready for children, and it ends with a couple on the verge of some afternoon delight. They're interrupted by a phone call, and it's Ben Grimes, the other soldier from the picture. He looks homeless, he sounds kind of crazy, and even though we know he's right when he says people are after him, considering his problem with drugs, Nicole is very skeptical. So you immediately know who these people are just from these very brief introductions. Yes, they're very archetype characters, but they did do a good job of showing us, okay, this is who Carter is, this is who Nicole is, this is who Ben is, and I did like the way that they set that up overall. So Carter then decides to send a secret message to the rest of their squad. When none of them immediately respond, he becomes concerned, and rightfully so, since at that moment, he spots men approaching the house with only enough time to hide Nicole in the attic. He's nabbed by the intruders, and that's basically how we get our first ticking clock in a commercial, which that was really cool to see. And while being interrogated, Carter seems genuinely surprised to learn of the strongbox that the men are looking for. And the torture is about to escalate when the crafty Nicole causes a distraction outside, and this gives her the chance to sneak downstairs to grab a gun while Carter breaks free. So having taken down the terrorists, they're officially on the run, and I guess that's going to be the rest of the show, that they're basically on the run from these group of terrorists who basically have some unfinished business with these soldiers. I mean, clearly these soldiers were soldiers who were supposed to take them out, and these were 2 who survived, and they need to, do whatever they can with them to kill them. So I did think that was overall interesting. But we got another story in the show. There's actually 3 different stories going on in the show. This is only one of them. The second one has to do with CTU, which of course is basically the show's second most relevant character. CTU was always a big part of Tor, and this version is in Washington, D.C., which Carter conveniently lives in, as well as Ben, and it has a whole new group of possible moles, and the most central is Rebecca Ingram, who there's a lot of crucial information to know about her. Her senator husband is John Donovan. He's running for president, and she's leaving her position as head of CTU, and she was in charge of Carter's mission to kill Khalid. So we now know that she's definitely connected to what's going on. Then we have Keith Mullins, her incoming replacement, who a lot of people don't really really trust. They don't really know if Mullins is the guy to replace her, if he's really that great, what she really saw in him, and a lot of people don't really trust him. And Andy, the teacher's pet analysis, and Mariana Stiles, the newest employee. So Andy thinks that she's very underqualified, and she reveals that her cousin was Edgar Stiles, one of the best analysts CTU ever had, and he taught her more than he ever could have learned at Stanford. So we get our first callback in another case of nepotism, which I thought was really cool, the way that was done. I did like seeing how basically, she's not happy with the way that he is and the way that he's treating her. I thought that was interesting. So now that we met the personal, it's time to get down to business. Rebecca gets an unexpected phone call from Carter, and I did think they did a good job of setting Rebecca as a character. I love Miranda Otto, and I thought she did a pretty good job here, but Carter's on the phone and says that they're blown. He shares, and after getting filled on what's happened, she suspects the box is key to Khaled's plan for an attack. So they come to the conclusion that Ben has the box, which we soon learn is in fact true. So he says that they can't trust Mullins, so she needs to look for Ben under the radar. And once off the phone, he tells Nicole he has to get her somewhere safe and then go handle the situation. But why him? And Carter tells him it's because right now he's the only one he's the only one that he can trust. He can only trust himself. He knows that the CTU, as much as they have helped him, there's someone there that he really does not trust, and I do like the way they set up that the only person Carter can really trust really is himself. So we then have basically another story going on. As I said, there's 3 different stories going on here, and I'm not quite sure why this is in the show. This felt very, very out of place, but it was kind of cool to see. Basically, we shift to this high school where we meet this female student named Amira. She walks through the hallway only to be harassed by Drew, who seems like this jealous ex-boyfriend. That's really all he was. And when he gets more aggressive, a teacher thankfully comes out to calm things down. And it turns out Drew isn't just pissed about Amira passing notes to other guys. He straight up thinks that she's a terrorist and is planning some very terrorist stuff, which is the scientific term. And the teacher's taking this very seriously. I mean, you don't just, make something as small, a terrorist threat is not exactly a small accusation. It's a pretty big deal. So the teacher really is trying to get to the bottom of this, and I don't really know why this is here, but I'm interested in seeing really where that's going to go. Carter and Nicole then arrive at their destination. She isn't happy. The safe place he's brought her to is their old neighborhood, which happens to be only a 15-minute or so drive from where the government was secretly keeping them, which was really interesting to see. But Carter's leaving Nicole with Isaac, his big-time gang-banger brother, whom he apparently stole her from. Isaac is not happy that Carter's with Nicole. He really wants, Nicole to himself, and they're reunited for this tense face-off featuring where basically Isaac asks Carter where can he bury his ass right here and now, and after reluctantly taking his ex in, Isaac checks in on her before his girlfriend Aisha makes her insecure presence known. She's apparently the queen of the crew, and she's not a fan of having Nicole around. She really wants nothing to do with her, and Isaac and Aisha kind of have their own little drug business going all around, but Isaac tells Aisha that she better not be a problem, and I'm pretty sure she's gonna be. It just already seems like she's gonna be a problem here, and I'm not into the storyline at all. I think it's really dumb, and there's a lot of petty drama in this show that we don't really need, and I don't really know why that's here, but with Andy's help, Rebecca has tracked Grimes en route to the Union Station. He thinks he's meeting his family there, unaware they actually already been killed, and having relayed Ben's location to Carter, Rebecca soon has some classic 24 problems where basically Stiles realizes that the former CTU boss has hacked into the system. So she quips to Andy, instantly making her, which I'd like seeing that she actually quipped to Andy there, score 1 for Brooklyn College, and Mullins then confronts Rebecca, who thinks that the best course of action is to tase him, and I don't know why he thinks this is the best thing to do, but he thinks, I guess he's thinking that if he's out, then he won't have to do anything, but I don't really know what his mindset was there. I don't really know why he wanted her to tase him. That was very strange that he wanted to do that, but, whatever. I don't really know why he really wanted that, but whatever. But then we're back at the high school, and the teacher steps away during class, perfectly timing the incoming text that prompts Amira to sneak out. She goes to the back of the library, and she's met by the teachers, and we found that Drew wasn't actually breaking news to him earlier. The teacher is the person who's been texting terrorist stuff to Amira. He's panicked over what to do, but she promises that she'll take care of it, as if the teacher and Amira being terrorist partners weren't terrible enough. They're also apparently lovers, which is ridiculous to think about. I don't know why the storyline is here. It's really dumb, and I really hope that this is something that doesn't plague the whole season, because I can already see how this is going to ruin the season, and I really hope this is something that doesn't last the whole season. My hope is that this is just something that lasts a couple episodes, which Amira being a recurring character definitely makes me hope that that's true, but we'll have to see. So Carter's made to the train station, but unfortunately so have the terrorists, and having tracked down Ben, he confronts him over the box. Ben insists he only has money and jewelry, and he complains that he knows what the war did to him, and he's saying that he was owed. So Carter discovers a secret compartment housing a flash drive. It's a list of names, numbers, and activation codes, all indicators of sleeper cells, but there's no time to come up with a game plan, as they are then soon chased through the station by the terrorists, and pinned down. Carter shoots a cement tube, causing it to both distract and run over the gunman. His heroic moment is short-lived when he discovers that Ben is gone and has taken the drive, and at the very end of the episode, we then see Ben calls Carter to basically say he's going to sell the drive to the highest bidder. Then, with the police descending, Carter makes a run for it, obviously knowing that he's in something that he shouldn't, he's in something very illegal and some very bad conspiracy, and that is the way that this episode ends overall. But let's just get into some more. I think we're going to go from here. So, overall, guys, I don't think this was the strongest premiere, but it definitely was a little bit better than the show could have been. That's mainly because of the cast. And that's the thing that I definitely was interested in here, because when you have 24, I don't really think the show was ever really praised for its acting, minus Kiefer Sutherland, but the cast really is a big factor of that, because you don't have Keith Sutherland in the show, someone else is a whole together, and thankfully, this cast, for the most part, I think did a good job. First of all, let's talk about our lead here, Corey Hawkins as Eric Carter. I really like Corey Hawkins here. I think that he's a very good actor. I really did love him in Straight Outta Compton. I thought he really did play the role of Dr. Dre pretty well. And here, sure, he doesn't have the most original character. I mean, how many times we've seen returning soldier comes home and there's tons of stuff following him. I mean, we've seen that so many times, but I really did like his character. You can tell he's really getting into the role. He has a lot of charisma. You can tell that definitely, I definitely do buy him as an action star. And he did a pretty good job with that. I'm interested in seeing where his character's going to go. And he's a lot different from Jack Bauer. I mean, he's not as much of a badass. He, I think, is settling more into that role, and it definitely does feel like this is the beginning, because, he's not exactly a badass yet, and people have been complaining about that. I wouldn't complain. This is only the first episode. He needs to settle into that role. It's kind of a character arc, and I'm interested in seeing where this character is going to go. We'll have to see. I don't really know how the story can go longer than one season, but again, I don't really know. And then Miranda Otto as Rebecca Ingram, I really do like Miranda Otto as an actress. I thought she overall did a very good job here, and I really did like her character. She's the senator, she's running for president, and I think her character overall is very interesting. I really did like her character. I thought she definitely, you can tell she's, very well acquainted with her job. She knows what she's doing. She really has a knack for, doing that kind of stuff with the CTU and things like that. I thought overall she was definitely a good character. I like where they went with her. And then Jimmy Smits as well as her husband. I definitely did like him in the show. I thought overall he was really good. And again, as I say, these characters were definitely good, but for the most part, most of them are stock types. I didn't really care about a ton of these characters. I mean, I cared for them. I don't want to say I don't care for them. It's mainly because of the cast. Jimmy Smits, Teddy Sears. If it hadn't been for these actors playing this role, I don't think I would have cared nearly as much as I do, because I do care about these characters. I am interested in seeing where they're going to go. It's just right now, I'm not really caring, because I've seen these characters so many other times before, and I'm not entirely sure how they're going to make them that much more original than they already are, because they're really not that original so far. So the cast is good, but let's now get into the writing and the directing, because here's where we get to some of my more major flaws of the premiere, because I think the directing here was fine. The tone was very well executed, it was very thrilling, it was suspenseful, and I definitely did feel the suspense in this episode. I want to know more what's going on. I want to know more about these soldiers. I want to know more about Eric Carter. Is there a mole? All that kind of stuff. There definitely is a lot they can do with this story. I think the story overall is definitely interesting. My biggest problem with the show is that I'm not entirely sure if we really needed it. I mean, sure, you can have a show that, has a whole spy conspiracy and all that kind of stuff, but to that end, why call it 24? Honestly, you don't need to call it 24. I think the show could have easily been its own thing. Now, yes, it wouldn't get the amount of viewership that it did if it wasn't called 24, but I honestly feel they're going to turn off more fans by doing that. People don't want to see 24 Legacy without Jack Bauer. That's just not 24. And this, again, feels like 24, but very much feels like it's like a redemption 24, where they're like, oh yeah, guys, this is still relevant. You know, the 24 is still a thing, and I don't know. I feel like it's a show that's kind of past its time. There's only so far you can go with it, and this 24 in general, I'm not entirely into. I don't know why they're still doing 24, but regardless, the story here I did find to be quite interesting. But as I said in my review, I don't know how this is going to last more than one season. I really don't. I get that this is all one day, but I just don't really know how this is going to last one season. It seems like something that could easily be solved very quickly if he just gets away from the terrorist agency. I just don't really know where they're going to go with the story. I guess we'll have to see what ends up happening, but right now I'm not entirely sure, and that's something I'm definitely mentioned getting into is where they're going to go with that. There's a lot of things here that I think is really dumb. Like Eric and Isaac, I don't really care about Isaac at all. I think everything between with him, pining for Nicole and being against Carter because of his undying affection for Nicole is really dumb. I don't know why it's here. It seems like it's only here to create drama, and we really don't need it, honestly. I really feel that the show is just as thrilling without it. It's probably more thrilling without it, honestly. We really don't need anything going on with Isaac. I'm not really sure why this plot is here. I didn't really need it. I don't think you guys wanted it either, so I don't really care about that. But by far the worst plot in this entire show has to be whatever the hell is going on with Amira and Drew. Because, look, I really do like Captain Prescott. I'm glad to see she's back on TV. Finding Carter didn't really work out so well, and I don't know if this is going to either, because her character is really insufferable so far. I mean, everything they've done with her character I think is really dumb. One, the fact they think she's a terrorist, that's dumb. But now, to add on to that, now she's having an affair with the teacher. That's even more dumb. So there's no possible way this storyline could be good. It's already so far-fetched. It's so ridiculous to believe. And the fact that something like this would actually happen in a school, I mean, there's a very low chance this would actually happen the way it did. And it's really dumb. I don't really know why it's here. I don't know if this is going to coincide with the main story at some point, but right now, I just don't really care about it. It might be one. I'm not going to skip it, obviously, but I just don't really know why this is here. I don't care about the story at all, and that's just the one thing that I don't really understand. We already have two other stories going on. Why do we need this story going on with Amira and Drew? It just seems really unnecessary. It seems like it was only here to fill up airtime for the episode, because they didn't really know where to go with Carter and with the other characters. And that's the thing with the show, is that the characters are very, very lacking. I've seen these characters so many times before. They're very much archetypes, and the show doesn't really do anything new with them. They did do a good job of showing who these characters were, and I definitely did enjoy that. But to that end, I mean, I don't really know where they're going to go with them, honestly. I've seen Carter before. I've seen Nicole before. I've definitely seen characters like Isaac before. And Ben as well. All these characters seem very much like characters we've seen before. It doesn't really seem like they're doing anything new with them, and I want to care about them. It's just right now, I don't really care about these characters, and I think it's going to take a little while to settle into these roles, but just right now, I don't really care about them, so I don't know where that's going to go. The cinematography here is great. I mean, 24's always had great cinematography. I love, something I've always loved about the show is the split screen. I think it's incredible the way they do it, where someone will be on the phone, they're having a conversation, they'll cut to another, scene. I think it's really cool the way they do the split screen. I've always really liked that technique. I think it works very well in the show. I've definitely really enjoyed that. I think the score here is fine. It's cool to get the 24 score and things like that back. And then the editing as well. Like I said, the episode was very frenetically paced, and every 24 episode is like that. So that definitely did feel like 24. It's just everything else felt like a show I've seen before. It didn't really feel like anything new. And I definitely did feel the pacing. It's not that. I definitely did feel the heightened tension throughout the episode. It really had nothing to do with that. But overall, this was definitely better than what I thought was going to be. I will definitely say that. I think the show could have been a lot worse, but I definitely did like what I saw. I'm not disappointed by what I saw, because I wasn't really expecting much. But right now, I don't really know where this is going to go. I'm not entirely into the show right now. And to be honest with you guys, I'm not reviewing every episode. I'm really not. I'm probably just going to review the season, honestly, because I've seen the show a million times before. I know a lot of times where it's going to go. Not just 24. There's so many shows that are like 24. 24 is not exactly an original show. There are other shows that are like it out there, and The characters are archetype. There's really not many places they can go with the story, but I am definitely interested in seeing where they're going to go. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt that this was the first episode. Things might be a little rough around the edges. A lot of the plot doesn't make a ton of sense, but there definitely is stuff that I'm interested in seeing where it's going to go. Like Teddy Sears' character, like Miranda Otto. There's enough stuff here to keep me interested in the story. And I am overall going to give the first episode, 24 Legacy, Season 1, Episode 1, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., a 3.5 out of 5 or a B-. So overall, guys, that's it, my review of 24 Legacy. Let me know what you guys thought of this premiere overall. Are you going to keep watching? Do you like where the show is going? Why is this show back? I just don't really understand why the show is still a thing. But that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoy it. We'll see you guys in my next one, which will be for tonight's episode of Supergirl, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.